The world has just witnessed a diplomatic earthquake, one that could shake the very foundations of global politics. India, often seen as Washington's natural ally in countering Beijing's rise, is now showing signs of warming up to China. That's right, the two Asian giants, long locked in suspicion and rivalry, are suddenly reopening doors. Now, this isn't just about polite handshakes or symbolic gestures. This shift could alter the balance of power in Asia and beyond. What looked like a routine visit by China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi to New Delhi might in fact mark the beginning of a new era. An era where India no longer plays by Washington's script, but instead writes its own. And before we go deeper into this dramatic shift, if you're finding value in this discussion, please make sure to like this video and share it with others who follow global politics closely. It really helps us reach more people interested in understanding these seismic changes. For decades, India and China's relationship has been defined by mistrust. The bitter memories of the 1962 war, the violent Himalayan border clashes in 2020, and years of political and economic hostility made it seem like cooperation was impossible. India banned dozens of Chinese apps, tightened restrictions on Chinese investment, and leaned heavily toward Washington, especially through the Quad alliance with the US, Japan, and Australia. But things are changing. Wang Yi's visit signaled a new chapter. Beijing has eased restrictions on vital exports like fertilizer ingredients crucial for Indian agriculture. Both sides are discussing reopening border trade, and direct flights between the two countries are resuming. These may sound like small steps, but in diplomacy, such moves speak volumes. The message is clear. India and China are testing the waters of partnership, not rivalry. For Washington, this is troubling news. For years, America counted on the India-China divide to anchor its strategy in Asia. If that divide narrows, one of Washington's greatest strategic advantages could slip away. So the question is, why now? Why would India, after years of bracing against China, suddenly entertain a thaw? The answer lies partly in Washington's own behavior. Under Donald Trump, and continuing in various ways afterward, U.S. foreign policy became increasingly heavy-handed. Tariffs on friends and rivals alike, sanctions threats, and blunt demands. For a time, India tolerated this, hoping the partnership with Washington would elevate its role in the region. But cracks appeared. When the U.S. demanded that India stop importing Russian oil after the Ukraine war began, New Delhi stood its ground. Energy security came first. India refused to be dictated to. That refusal revealed a fundamental truth. Washington didn't always see India as an equal partner, but often as a junior player expected to follow orders. For a country determined to be a global power in its own right, that was unacceptable. China, ever watchful, seized the opportunity. Wang Yi's charm offensive, offering practical gestures like easing trade restrictions, was perfectly timed. India's willingness to respond shows that New Delhi is no longer willing to be boxed in. It wants flexibility, leverage, and independence. Now let's zoom out. Because this isn't just about two neighbors testing diplomacy, it's about a broader realignment shaping the 21st century. If India and China, the two largest nations in Asia, even partially bridge their gap, the implications are global. Think about BRICS, the economic bloc of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. For years, BRICS has been hampered by mistrust between New Delhi and Beijing. But if that mistrust eases, BRICS could evolve into a serious challenger to the Western-led G7. With Russia providing energy, Brazil food, South Africa minerals, and China manufacturing power, India's cooperation could turn BRICS into a formidable economic coalition. Trade already tells the story. Despite political hostility, India-China trade still exceeds $135 billion annually. Imagine if more barriers fall, if border trade revives, if infrastructure projects emerge. Even cautious cooperation could tilt the balance of global economics. Meanwhile, Washington is watching something bigger unfold: China's economic pivot to the global south. While America was busy imposing tariffs, China was building highways, railways, ports, and digital networks across Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East, through its Belt and Road Initiative. Today, Beijing exports more to developing nations than to the US and Europe combined. That's a massive reversal of the old world order. And here's where it gets even more interesting. China's overseas investments now outpace even its domestic spending. From lithium mines in South America to solar farms in Africa, Beijing is embedding itself deeply into the economies of the global South. These aren't just business deals. They're strategic footholds that create long-term loyalty and influence. No sector captures this better than electric vehicles. China now produces more than 60% of the world's EVs, and its car makers are rapidly expanding abroad. They're building factories in Europe, exporting to Southeast Asia, and undercutting Western competitors with affordable models. And because EVs depend on resources like lithium and cobalt, found largely in the global South, China's foreign expansion ensures it controls the supply chain from the mine to the showroom floor. Whoever controls EVs will shape the auto industry for decades, and right now, that's China. And here's a good moment to pause and invite your thoughts. What do you think? Is India wise to balance its ties between Washington and Beijing? Or is it risking too much by warming up to China? Drop your comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective on this delicate balancing act. Now, stepping back to the bigger picture, Washington's strategy of pressure has largely backfired. Instead of isolating China, it accelerated Beijing's expansion into regions where America holds little sway. Instead of reinforcing US dominance, it opened doors for China to lead in industries of the future. This is why Wang Yi's visit to New Delhi matters so much. It's not just diplomacy, it's a symptom of a larger global shift. The old formulas no longer work. The unipolar moment when Washington set the rules is fading, and a multipolar world is emerging. Of course, India's rapprochement with China won't erase decades of mistrust overnight. Border disputes remain a serious obstacle, and both countries remain cautious. But India has sent a signal. It will not allow itself to be tied too closely to any one power. It will pursue its own course, balancing its ties with Washington, Moscow, and Beijing to maximize its freedom of action. This move is being watched closely by the rest of the global South. If India can resist Washington's pressure and still thrive, other nations may follow. Countries across Asia, Africa, and Latin America are eager for more room to maneuver, away from old Cold War-style alignments and toward a world where they have multiple partners and more leverage. And make no mistake, the rise of the global South is reshaping the global order. With China at the center, backed by its vast trade networks, infrastructure projects, and technological ambitions, we're seeing the emergence of a parallel system of alliances and dependencies that Washington cannot easily disrupt. So, what we're witnessing is not just an India-China thaw, but the early pages of a new geopolitical era. A multipolar world where no single power dominates, and where alliances are more fluid, pragmatic, and transactional. In closing, let's return to the beginning. A diplomatic earthquake. What seemed unthinkable, India warming to China, is now unfolding before our eyes, and its ripple effects will shape economics, diplomacy, and strategy for decades. Thank you for staying with me through this deep dive into a pivotal moment in global politics. If you enjoyed this analysis and want to stay updated on the tectonic shifts shaping our world, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss future content. Your support means a lot and helps keep this channel growing. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.